G'day guys, welcome to my presentation on the fundamentals. I'm sure Shannon's given you a bit of an overview of what tonight's all about, but just looking forward to presenting to you guys. Apologies that I couldn't get down there physically. I live in Queensland, but looking forward to sort of getting down there some stage this year to meet a few of you guys. And Shannon may have elaborated on the agreement or the partnership that one-on-one football, which I'll get into shortly, is about, and the Broadview Junior Football Club, just joining a bit of an alliance and a partnership at the start of this year, working on small group classes and fundamentals, which is funny enough based on this presentation, working around with kids development and giving the opportunity to perform and give them extra opportunity to be able to get their skills taught in a small group sort of basis, and obviously elite coaching and private coaching is where which is our model and our business. So looking forward to presenting tonight. It might be a bit of a hard way to sort of do it in terms of being able to pause the video because it's a recording, but I might let Shannon sort of do that and work through it in that sense, because I heard you guys might be sort of breaking up into groups and looking at a few things. So tonight I'll be presenting and pause and rewind and do what you got to do, but I'll present and sort of go from there. Unfortunately, I won't have enough questions tonight, but maybe it's something we can look to do in the future on a live sort of basis to answer any questions that you've got. Tonight's presentation is based on the fundamentals. Just a bit of an introduction and a background on myself. My name's Andrew Rains, for those who don't know me. I played 12 years in the AFL, 129 AFL games at Richmond, Brisbane and the Gold Coast Suns. I was head coach at the Suns Academy from 2016 to 2021 when I retired. After I retired, I got that job. That was a great role, working in development and youth football from the age of sort of 10, 11 years of age, where we started sort of getting them in on the Gold Coast. There are academies in their zones. It works a bit different than the NGA academies down in the southern states. If you're born or raised in these zones up here, you go pretty much detour the draft and go straight on to the Gold Coast Suns or the Lions or the Giants or the Swans list. That's how it works in Queensland and New South Wales. So my job was to really fine-tune the best and get them ready for AFL football and learn a lot. And then I started a bit of a side project or business while I was in that role, and I saw the need for private coaching and kids being able to access, reputable coaches and private coaching. As we know, you guys coach club football and team football, which is really important, but you don't have the time or the resources to really focus on individuals, and hence where one-on-one football was born. So there's a bit of a spelling mistake there. I just picked up on it, triple L there, I think, one-on-one football. But yeah, we launched as an online booking platform, connecting footballers with coaches Australia-wide. And we've got about 120 coaches Australia-wide now. We used to just solely base ourselves on one-on-one, and that's a booking platform. It's all set up online, but now we consult, as we're doing with you guys, at football clubs, schools, and Australia-wide now, which is really exciting. We've also got an online training resource, drills platform too. So forever growing, and that's my role now, which is really exciting. So I've gone to that full time and growing the business. So as discussed before about the fundamentals of the game, I'll break it down into 5 key fundamentals of AFL football or Australian rules football. That's our kicking, clean hands, handballing, marking, and defensive pressure. Some of these tie into another, so you could argue that clean hands is marking, but it is a whole nother piece of craft or positioning part of the game, I should say. Handballing could be linked to clean hands also. That's why I do hold clean hands as probably, if not the number one. I've ranked them in sort of order that should be coached here. I'm not too sure in the AFL ranks where they rank each one of these. You'd probably take a guess and think that kicking's number one, but also defensive pressure is really important these days. And I coach a lot of kids these days privately and through the academy stuff that I did, that you've really got to start coaching defensive, I suppose, nous or defensive IQ and defensive pressure, because it falls not just in tackling, it also falls on how to pair off or how to number off or how to put pressure on the ball carrier. as you see in AFL football these days, it's a really important aspect to the game. And I feel like the best that focus on their offensive stuff get to an AFL system, and their defensive pressure lacks, they get chewed up and sped out pretty quickly. So got to be able to defend. You've got to be able to go two ways these days. Now, tonight I'm going to focus on kicking and clean hands. I don't think I've got time to cover all five, and apologies for that, but there's a fair bit of detail in this. And instead of skimming it over all, I wanted to just cover on and focus on the first two. And then hopefully in the future, we can maybe be able to finish off the last three or do another similar presentation that I can present to you guys. So focusing on kicking and clean hands tonight. Well, they say kicking, there's a quote that if you can't kick, you can't play. How true is this in the modern game? So there's one question for you guys tonight if you're in your groups. I think the answer's fairly straightforward, but why? Okay, let's break that down to why. Why you got to be able to kick, and what's changed from previous I suppose generations or times throughout the game, and how's that tied to junior football? That might be one question you can ask yourself tonight. And can you come up with at least four key points or technical areas that make up a good kick? All right, so I might get Shannon to maybe pause there if you want, and then we can get back into it. So the beauty of having this recorded is you can sort of start or pause whenever you like. So if you want to pause now and have a think about that in your groups and see if you can jot down a few points, and see you shortly. So my philosophy in kicking is not just that, a big quote here at the top of the page is no one size fits all, but there's some fundamentals. So when I say that, if you think about any ball sport, I always relate this to ball sport, and kicking's probably the most subjective topic in the game, I believe, when it comes to coaching, because there's so many different people got so many philosophies around it. You can't do this, you can do that. You should do this, you shouldn't do that. I'm big on actually working within the individual. Now, if you think about all, as I was about to say before, if you think about all ball sports in the world, golf, cricket, tennis, basketball, anything with a ball, and you think of someone's technique, let's stick with golf for a second into my golf. And if you think about golf, and name the top 10 golfers in the world, and then have a look at their swing, they all won't be the same. But this is where my point gets to. There's some fundamental comparisons there that are probably pretty much the same, okay, or if not similar, okay. And then that's what makes up your coaching and your fundamentals around the individual. And then to give them that individual flair, if someone kicks around his body a bit or her body, left footers have that natural arc, work with that. Some people like to keep it in a bit closer. Some people like to have it a bit more out. Some people like to wish-wash the ball a bit. Not ideal, but you can work with that. Some people like to skip after they kick a bit and they follow through. Some like to sort of push back a bit. So there's some fundamentals around that, though, and to give them the fundamentals and coach them the same on that, and then work within the individual flair, if you like. So I'm big on that. But in saying that, if you get a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, you're going to be able to develop and mold them a bit easier than it is a 16, 17-year-old. So within that coaching, have that sort of mindset around the ages, because as we know, the younger you are, the easier it is to sort of coach and change a few little habits they've got. So 4 keys that I've identified in my time in coaching and playing. Again, this is my philosophy. I'm pretty bullish on this. I really am a big believer of having the approach, the ball drop, your contact onto your boot, and your follow through down pat, and having some key similarities of way we coach that. So let's delve into that a bit more. So this is the approach, which is, I've broken this out in the stage of 4 key steps through your king. So the approach is the first part: how you hold the ball, how you've got it positioned. Where are you sort of positioning the ball when you're running into kick. So just start with the first one is ball over your kicking leg. Okay, so there's another auto picking up my little spelling errors here with the computer. So yeah, disregard that. So ball over kicking leg. All right, so I'll call it owning or dominating the ball on your kicking leg. So you can see my technique there. See how I'm nice and over my right foot. So as the pressure gets, you want to always coach kids to be able to replicate or to be able to go through the ranks through to senior football eventually, having the fundamentals right. So if you teach something that's going to be able to maximise their output and be efficient enough in that, but to be able to really kick as you see it, as you see a target, not to wind up, not to take 3, 4, 5 seconds, to be able to kick in a second or two, you're going to create really good habits into that player. This allows, as I said there, this allows minimal time and quicker release from hand to foot, which is what we want. As you see in the AFL, as quick as it gets, those players will be able to kick nice and quickly, and that's because they have a really, really strong position at the start of their kick and their approach to be able to get that hand to foot knocked down nice and quickly. If this is done correctly, it holds up under pressure and far more than when it's done incorrectly. The second point here is that body positioning. Okay, for shorter kicking, you're going to tilt the body forward and lean over the ball a bit. Longer kicking, which I haven't really touched on a lot tonight, and probably more focusing on sort of 15, 20, but they're, again, same fundamentals in that. You're probably going to sort of stand up a bit more upright because you're going to try and get up under the ball a bit and get a bit more height. This ensures everything is compact and allows minimal time to release the ball to your foot. Okay, so again, if I'm standing upright, trying to get that ball down to my foot, it's going to take longer. But if I'm over the ball and I'm hunched over a bit more, I'm going to be able to get there nice and quickly and stay over the ball. Going to show you a few examples now. Again, pause it afterwards and have a discussion around these three players, okay, junior players across a couple of different ages and genders, and sort of have a look at what you guys think about their techniques with their approach, factoring a few of the things I've said there. So there's one clip, okay, so I might get you to jot down a few points here now, so I'll give you a bit of time. I'll just, if you want to pause it on this one for 10, 20 seconds, write down a few notes and go from there. Similar to this girl here, so if you want to write down some points and sort of explain to me or explain to the group what do you think's potentially wrong with this approach. Nothing too bad when I'm saying this, and there's nothing wrong. I hate the word wrong sometimes. It's more so needs work or, improvement and things like that. Nothing's ever wrong because that's the way they do it, but we can do it better. And that kick there. So again, I'll pause it, write a few notes, have a bit of a chat, or you guys can pause it. So if we go back on these kicking techniques here or our approach, okay, my suggestion here would be not to change the wish. Some kids do a lot of wish-washy sort of things. This kid on the day with the vision wasn't too bad, but he was sort of coming left to right a bit. And if it's windy, they don't have great balance. It's obviously can miss their boot. So you want that ball straight over the kicking leg. This girl here is not too bad. She puts it over her right leg, but she also holds it really high and she's very upright. And it's the same as this young man here. He's not holding it as high, but he's got it two hands. He's very so I've just got my kick there. He's very rigid. Okay, he's very upright. So again, he's gonna have to put that ball down and it's gonna take him a lot longer. So probably the first one's probably putting it on the wrong side of the body there. They're not too bad. They're very upright and holding the ball like that. Okay. Now, just watch the difference with mine here. See, I'm locked and loaded, ready to go. I call that owning the ball on that side. Okay, so owning the ball on your kicking leg. See, I'm over the ball, I'm hunched over. I've even got a bit of again, this is not clinical. This is not one size fits all, as I said before. This is how I like to do it. I actually like to hold the left hand over a bit more. You see a lot of the good kicks, I hold the left hand down a bit more and the right hand up. Okay, that's just something I developed over time for a bit more guidance and a bit more support over my ball drop when we go into the next stage. But those other kids there were holding the ball like that. Okay, we want to try and get them out of those habits and trying to correct them a bit. But again, this works for me. But if you can just, again, reiterate the importance of staying over the ball and dominating over that leg, over your kicking leg. So left footers over the left side, right footers over the right side. Yeah, so again, you might want to pause that, have a bit of a discussion around pros and cons around approach and how you coach that. The next set's ball drop. Okay, so the next step into our kicking fundamentals is really important is our ball drop. It's got a lot. I don't think there's one most important element to the four fundamentals that I'm presenting here tonight. But geez, ball drops goes a long way. And there's a little quote from, I think Jason Ackermanis says it. We interview him. He's one of our coaches on the platform, and we interview him on one of our podcasts. And he talks about kicking with your hands. Okay, so if you've got really good hand-eye coordination, hand to the foot, you're working a lot with your hand. Now, you could have a poor strike, you could have a poor follow through with your leg to stuff that kick up, but you can get the ball spinning right, definitely with your ball drop. And if you look at my example there, I've actually got the tennis ball coming up because a lot of kids, it's a good drill if you've got any kids that use two-hand ball drops or any beginners, especially a lot of females and girls. Okay, they want to put the ball down with two hands. If you actually give them a tennis ball, they actually click onto their mind or something in their mind that picks up that tennis ball to be able to lift that up, go and drop that ball down. So just a little drill that I've created there. And as we go through the ball drop, two key points here is the guide hand should be towards your foot. So you can see my picture there, being able to really keep that hand down. You see a lot of people that don't hit the right drop punts. They'll move the ball either off their boot or back in or away from their foot, keeping that ball down. Okay, keeping your guide hand pointed down towards your boot. As soon as you lift this or move it away your boot, the less likely it will drop correctly onto your boot. The balance arm lift, I just spoke about the tennis ball there, just the importance of opening up your torso. So a lot of guys, I'm not saying you got to lift it right up. Some people like a real high arm lift, which is fine. Okay, some people like sort of there, but needs some sort of lift. Okay, again, not one size fits all. If someone likes it a bit higher, that's fine. If someone likes it a bit sort of lower, that's fine, but they've got to have some sort of lift there. They can't do the two-hand ball drop. They're going to lack balance and power. Okay, and their kick. So opening up the arm allows that leg to be able to come through. So we're just setting ourselves up here for the follow through, the contact, and then the follow through. All right, so lifting your arm up and opening your torso is really important. So again, I'll just get Shannon or someone to pause it here after you see each of these clips. So the first one here, have a little comment and see what you think. The next one, again, our little man kicking here. Just have a look at his kicking technique with his ball drop. Pause again if you feel like you need to have a bit of a 20 to 30 second chat and review of that one. And our young girl here, again, another 20 or 30 seconds to have a chat about this one and to see what you think. Okay, so we're just going to go and have a look back at our players here. So this young fella's just got his balance arm comes up, but it's sort of away. Everything's going backwards here, and his ball drop goes away. Okay, so he's losing total control of the ball, and you can even see the ball's tilting forward now. So when he hits that, he's not going to hit a drop punt. Okay, so really keeping that balance hand down. That guide hand down. So this young man here, he sort of just drops it. He's a bit lower. He's got a bit more control, but he sort of just doesn't have much momentum with his arm coming up, and he shifts that arm backwards or that guide hand backwards. And the young girl here, she just totally loses control of the ball. She just throws the ball up, and you'll see a lot of kids at a young age do that, okay, because they feel like they can't sort of control that ball a bit. They just throw it up, okay? So really important to get her to work down towards her foot, keep her head down. And again, I'm not perfect, and I wasn't the best kick going around, but over the years of being able to develop this sort of mindset around our fundamentals with our kicking or our categories in our kicking and focusing on this and coaching this, I feel like I've got a really good handle on it. So what you practice, you got to go and implement. What you teach, you got to go and implement. So practice what you preach. And here I've just got the eye of the ball. See how I'm nice and steady through my torso here. Okay, so I come up through. I've opened up my torso, I should say, and my balance arms, my guide arms hand is staying down. So that, and you can see that's going to hit a nice, really drop punt down to my boot. Again, feel like having any comments or review of the whole ball drop philosophy there. Happy to sort of have another 30 seconds to a minute and to digest all that. So move on to contact. Okay, is our third part, 3 out of the 4 parts to our kicking. Eyes on the ball is really important with our contact here. So you can see my eyes are on the ball. A lot of kids lift up. Now, they might keep their eyes on the ball when it just hits and they lift everything up. Problem with that is it can miss our boot. And as soon as we lift up, our body lifts up and the ball pops up. okay, or doesn't make the distance. Okay, so keeping your eyes on the ball, taking your eyes off of the ball will increase the chances of not hitting the right part of your boot. And aiming, you want to aim for the middle of your boot. Same with our golfing philosophy, is you want to be able to hit the golf ball. Okay, everyone's got different techniques. Okay, but at the end of the day, I'm more, all about the outcome, and I'm sure a lot of golfers are that way too. They obviously have their fundamentals. They hit the ball, and you want the outcome right. And the outcome really, same as cricket, same as a lot of other ball sports, baseball. You want to hit the middle of the ball, the bat, the club, or the ball. Okay, so let's hit the middle of the ball. Sorry, the middle of our boot. Okay, where whatever we're striking with. So in football, it's our boot. Cricket's our bat. Okay, and with golf, it's our club. All right, so we're using our boot here, our foot. Okay, you want it in the middle of that boot. Okay, so you can usually hear it too. It has a really nice sound when you hit in the middle of your boot. So keeping your eyes down is really important. The next one, which is I'm really strong on this one, is a strong balance leg. Okay, so a strong balance leg, having a bit of a slight tilt with your balance leg is really important, but not having it bent all the way back. So you can see it's imperative to getting the power you need. So if you've got a nice strong, see my feet are short too. A lot of kids too kick far apart with their feet. Okay, so that can get them really unbalanced and you lose power. If I'm upright, I'm strong, but I've got a little tilt through that left foot, that's my balance leg, I'm going to be set up nicely to be able to have a nice, strong foundation to be able to kick that ball with power. So our contact here, so a young girl just working, again, another 20 or 30 seconds to discuss her technique with her contact. Again, a young man here, just have a look at his couple of his technical things here with his contact, right on the contact when he hits the boot. Have a look at his positioning and where the ball is. And this one here, again, our contact. Again, take a bit of time to discuss this one, just with how you think his body positioning is and right when that ball hits. Right, so we'll go back. So this young lady, she's just got a bit of tilt with her hips, so she's not strong for that balance leg. So she's sort of tilted, and that balance leg's a bit too bent, or she's leaning back. She's got a torso back. She's leaning back, and she's going to pop the ball. Okay, so it's really important. Her head's coming up a bit too. You can see off this clip, or the movie, she sort of pulls back with her eyes. This young man here, he's got a real bend in his band. I see this a lot, and this is the kicks. If you ever want to teach someone to kick longer, look at their balance leg. Okay, so the more bend you've got in your balance leg, so he's a left foot, his right leg, you can't quite see, but you can see what it is doing behind that ball. It's really bent. So he's actually what I call sitting back in the chair instead of coming up out of the chair. Okay, so if your body weight's going back and you're bent going back, that ball's going to pop, or it's got no penetration in it, or both. So really important there. His eyes are over the ball, not too bad, but he's really, he's got no power in his leg. And this young man's the same, leaning back. Okay, on the point. If you look at his previous one with his ball drop, okay, his ball drop wasn't quite right. Okay, and he's got tilt in his ball. And it's going to go forward like a tumble kick, and he's leaning back. Okay, he's leaning back through there. Excuse that noise in the background. And then this is just that contact here, with my demonstration at the end and that same sort of clip. So you can see my eyes are over the ball. I've kept that hand nice to go back a step. I've kept that hand still down. Okay, and you can just see it's nearly straight, that leg there. Okay, that balance leg. It's actually, if you saw the movie, it's actually sort of, that's my leg. It's sort of, it's tiny bit bent, but it's coming forward. Okay, so those other ones you would have seen there, they're going back. Okay, so sort of strong approach there going forward. Okay, so I'll actually come up over my balance so I can follow through. And the follow through part is really the icing on the cake and the finishing stuff. So here, hips and toes to the target. Okay, so I'm big on getting your hips. Doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. So with your hips, okay, put them to where the kick's going. Okay, if you're putting it out in front, put your hips all the way out, face your hips to the target. Okay, get your toe and your foot all the way through to your target. Okay, it doesn't matter, as I said, where you start, it's where you finish. And transfer of body weight's really important. So you should land on your kicking leg. A lot of people, those previous clips you would have seen, they're leaning probably back, and they're probably going to lean back on their kicking leg's going to lean back behind them. They want to lean out in front and follow that momentum through. Okay, so it's really important to get that speed of that ball and penetration through the air if you follow through, okay, and get forward. This is probably the number one thing I see in junior football is they all kick off, a lot of them kick off the back foot, okay, or they stop on their kick. So this next video, I'm just going to roll this one through. You can just review this. Probably take a second, probably take a minute or two or however you want to run this. After this video, I've just got I've just got back-to-back clips of the player and myself, and then maybe discuss on the differences that you can see.
Left. Yep, go. Let me know if you hit it. Right. Yep. Left. Left. Right. Right, done? Yep.
And then this is just my clip to show what I wanted from the coaching point.
I'm back. Go to my right.
And just putting it all together now and just having a look at a few key things and definitely the follow through. So again, have a chat here and see what you have come up with the differences between those sort of two kicks. Fairly obvious, but at the same time too, it's worth discussing. Good stuff, guys. So I'm sure you came up with a few things there, but the main one you can probably see, if we just go back,
push back
with my kick here, just the follow through. So just watch me follow through I'll just go back with this young man's first kick.
Left.
And just watch how he stops. He just stops on his kick.
Go. Let me know if you hit it. Right.
I'll kick through that. It just stop.
Push back.
Just the difference here, I'm going towards the target. See that? Landing on my kicking leg, going towards the target. So just before we go on to the next thing there, we summarised the four key points and just finishing off with the follow through. Really important to get kids to be able to follow through towards their target. And the little drill you might want to do there, and again, we've got plenty of ideas and drills for you guys to be able to access, which I'll get on at the end of this talk, but maybe put a cone out in front, okay? Pretty simple drill to be able to put two cones where they kick and where they finish. You can do that with lane work. You can do that with back and forth kick at the start of training. You can do that in your little drills, okay? Just to be able to identify, and best way to coach that, kids pick up really quickly on stimulus sort of things or things they can see, okay? So that little exercise there could be really important. So just to summarise that all, we've got our approach, okay? So having that right approach with our kicking, over our balance leg, over our kicking leg, okay, and getting that tilt forward so we're over the ball, and then we're going to ball drop, keeping that guide hand down nicely, not moving it away off your boot, keeping it down even after the kick, and bringing up some sort of lift in your balance arm to give you that balance, and obviously that torso is opening up to allow you to swing through with your leg, and then on the contact part, strong balance leg to give you that power and penetration through your kick, and nice, stable, steady body to be able to set you up with the framework to be able to get that ball to the target and pointing your toe and your hips through to the target, okay? And then finishing off, keeping a head over the ball and our eyes over the ball with our contact, and finishing off with our follow through, getting our hips and our toe to the target and following through, okay? Landing on our kicking leg, and then going towards the target. Some fundamentals, it's fairly specific, but all at the same time too, fairly broad when you have a look at it all, and trying to coach the individual on the right basis. And for that, it is the challenge, okay? So I've probably don't have time tonight, but just a way of sort of coaching this, you can sort of see a bit of an example that I've done here with the kids.
Hi, Kellen and Violet. We just got your kicking assessment here, so just
So I've just split the screen here, and we might be able to show this if anyone's interested to sort of see the full version of me cutting down someone's kicking. And again, this is the way I coach, but it might give you guys a few tips and to sort of see, how kids are doing and how you should be sort of coaching them. So that's a bit there, but I might leave that for tonight and move on to the next one. So next one tonight's clean hands. Just a few things before we get started here, and you might discuss in your groups before we go forward for another couple of minutes, or however you think, however long you think you need, or how you're going for time. But have a think about who are the cleanest players in the AFL and what do they do well. Okay. Can you come up with some of the things that are important for being a clean one-touch player on the ground or in the air? Okay. I'll leave you a bit to discuss that. Okay, guys. So a little quote here: players who don't fumble, one-touch players are invaluable. Okay, invaluable to the team, because I believe even before kicking, you got to be able to pick up the ball. Okay, we got to be able to just get the ball cleanly, or we got to be able to get the ball in possession and then be able to execute. So before the execution comes in part, you got to be able to do this. So probably nearly goes to number one for me, but kicking's obviously probably our main skill in our game. So two elements here, our ground balls, which we'll spend a bit more time on, and our receive option. So you can get the ball in two facets. Again, you could probably put marking under this, but it's a separate topic. Let's focus tonight on the ground ball. So picking the ball up on the ground or receiving it in the air, mid-air. Okay, either bumbles back up, so it could bounce up to you. Okay, or you could get a handball receive. So there's only those sort of two ways to be able to get it, unless I've missed something. And some coaches in the room that are outsmarting me here and pick up something else. So that's the two keys that I've identified. So just with our ground balls here, I'll put a little presentation up from one of my old teammates who's a young coach. He's a head development coach of Carlton at the moment, and you'll probably be familiar with him when I put him up on the screen. He has a really good presentation on it, so I thought I'd echo his thoughts here. He's got very similar philosophy to me, but there are four key fundamentals that I believe to teaching ground balls. First, in line and level with the ball. Okay, so getting in line with the ball. So if the ball's on the ground, getting as low as you can to get in line with the ball. Okay, and to adjust your body in behind it, and to get level with the ball. So back to that sort of height, trying to get even in the air, you're trying to, when the ball with a mark or even just getting the ball and receive, you're kind of try and get up to the eye line of the ball so you can read it properly. Your footwork and getting low is sort of similar into that. So setting your feet up nice and early. Okay, getting your feet in short steps. Okay, not too far apart. You can see in these couple of pictures here, our feet are nice and short. Okay, and getting low. Body and arms are nice and compact. Don't reach. So as soon as we reach, okay, if it's in pressure, bang, contested ball, someone will run straight through your hands. Getting nice and low, taking an extra step towards the ball. Okay, and getting nice and compact. And again, I'll say it again, but staying low and protecting yourself. So that's a really big point, a big talking point, especially in the females game, to be able to get that ball in position where you're picking it up, but you're not wide open. So you're staying low and you're just sort of turning or tilting towards, away from that pressure or from the body. So just bear with me here if I can see if I can do this correctly. So I'll just exit this, and I've got Lukey Power here. Okay, so Lukey Power is presenting on ground balls, which is on our library of drills. So I might even just see if I can.
Important if you're at a football club and you've got a number of coaches that you're selling the same message, and you're not mixing the messages up to young footballers to try and eliminate as much confusion as possible. So I've come up with my 5 points that I think go into ground balls, and I'll just run through them very quickly. So the first point is footwork, really important part of the game. If you can't move your feet and get your feet in a good position, one, you're going to lack balance, but two, you're going to not be able to get yourself in a position to be body lining the ball, which is really important when you're going at a ground ball. Number two is to have a strong low base and hands, obviously to be able to get down at the ball and to watch it into your hands. And as contest pressure starts to come on and density starts to happen around the ball, and there are a lot of bodies around, to hold your body weight over the ball and not get pushed off the ball easily, you need to have a strong low base and hands. The next one is to take the ball on the instep of your leading foot. I'll show you a couple of examples of this as we go in a minute. But one thing that reduces is players that are reaching for the ball. A lot of junior players tend to reach for the ball at times, but at times I find it's not through a lack of intent or endeavour or courage, which we tend to label them from a young age. It's just through a lack of education or that they haven't been taught the correct technique. 4 is that we need to see the top of your head when you're going for a ground ball. One of the most important things is that you're watching the ball right into the hand. If we can see the top of the player's head when they're going for the ground ball, then we obviously know that they're watching the ball really closely into their hands. And the last one is after you get the ball, to be able to drive your legs. In the modern game, players are becoming so good at being able to tackle and put pressure on the opposition. And it's really important that we now teach players to be able to drive through the pressure and absorb the pressure and be able to either secure the ball or be able to give the ball off to their teammates who are coming in to support. So a little bit of vision. This is from when I was at the academy. You'll see a few familiar faces who are playing some really good AFL football now, who are coming into their 3rd year of AFL football. I'll let you know who they are as they come up. I'm sure you'll recognise a few familiar faces. But we'll just look at a simple ground ball drill and analyse these young players as they go to take the ball and have a look at how they're executing our points. All right. Let me just work this out. I might put it on mute. Just so. Can everyone hear me? And in relation to what the points that I've shown, but also how you would coach a young player like this. So we'll just go through it. Okay. And then I'll rewind it and I'll slow it down. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right, here we go. I'll play it quickly and then I'll go back on it. Okay, so if you're astute, you would have noticed that when Isaac goes for the ball, he doesn't have a strong hands and base. He does probably 4 out of the 5 things really, really well. But if he goes into a contest with this technique, he's going to get pushed off the ball. Now, the thing with Isaac Rankin, if you have talented young players who are in your system, you don't want to overcoach them on these things, because if he's got time and space around him and can take the ball at full speed like this, you want to encourage him to be able to do that. That's what makes him a special player, and the fact that he does have that in the game. But what he needs to understand is that if he goes into a contest with lots of bodies around him and he's trying to hold his weight over the ball and not get pushed off the ball, and he goes in with a technique like this, then he's going to be getting pushed off the ball. So in this particular drill, if he wants to use this technique, then that's fine. I don't think that we should be over-coaching and changing, the really good players too much if they can take it with time and space, and it adds speed to their game. They can pick it up with speed with a technique like this. But he does need to have an understanding. If he goes into a contested situation like this, then he's probably not going to be able to hold his body weight over the ball. Okay, so as you change the constraints and bring a bag in, you might say to Isaac, and I'll show you as we bring the bag in a minute. Okay, so now we brought the bag in. Once we change the constraints, you might say to a player like Isaac, well, now it's time that you need to have a strong low base to not get pushed off the ball. Okay, if we watch Sam Walsh here when he was a young fella, okay, as you can see, it doesn't change much when the bag comes in. Still really strong low hands and base, taking the ball on the instep of his lead foot. We can see the top of his head, and in a minute he'll be able to drive through the contest. Now, the thing that does change when you do bring the bag in is that you need to be able to protect the ball. So you need to get your body between the bag and the ball. Okay, another really good one. Tom Joyce, who's now at the Brisbane Lions. Okay, you see the top of his head means that he's watching the ball all the way into his hands, protecting the ball really well from the oncoming pressure. Okay, Chase Jones. Okay, another really good example, protecting the ball. Okay, we can see the top of his head technique is really, really good those 5 points he's executing really well. Okay, the last one, I want you to have a think about, what you would do in this situation or how you would coach this. So have about 30 seconds to yourself. I'll play it again. Have a think about what the learning points were there. Okay, I'll just give you 20 seconds.
Pretty good this, I think. Lukey's already set us up. He was ready for the presentation tonight, so it's pretty good timing. So yeah, give it you guys if you want to pause it.
Okay, and for those of you who are seeing it, okay, technique is relatively good. Okay, base is pretty good. Almost see the top of his head. Okay, getting his hands down to the ball, but he's not getting his body between the ball and the bag. So he needs to be able to turn his body to be able to protect the ball and also to protect his head from the oncoming traffic. This is something that we need to keep developing in players, and we need to educate young players on early. I think you would have seen a lot of AFLW football and how a lot of AFLW players, when the game first started, were probably going in with similar techniques. And now I'm finding that their coaching through the pathways and through their junior days has been really good, and that we're teaching them these basic skills early to be able to protect themselves, and also to be able to enable them to protect the ball in contested situations. Okay, so that's ground balls. This is also
okay, guys. Just get this. Perfect. So that was a great Lukey Power. Obviously talking about ground balls and no better player than someone like him and coach to be able to talk through that. So I thought we had that on our Footy IQ our website and platform where a lot of those presentations are. And I thought I'd sort of share that. We've got obviously a fairly similar philosophy there. He touched on sort of 5 points and I touched on 4, which is similar. Hope you had a good chance to sort of discuss as a group, or if you're on your own listening to this as a recording, to sort of write down a few notes. And I think it's really important, and we touched on a few things there, just about that positioning and where the man is or where the player is, and where the ball is, okay, and to be able to sort of identify that, but then setting up the framework, setting up the body work before you get that ball. And that's the problem and issues I see with a lot of kids, that their feet aren't set, their body's not set, ready for that ground ball. So really important there. And again, a simple drill like that, you can get some great results, and then adding in a pad or adding in some pressure. Doesn't need to be reinventing the wheel, and especially at AFL clubs, they're not reinventing the wheel with different drills or what sort of stuff. They're just practicing the fundamentals over and over and over again. Okay. And if kids are struggling and not enjoying it, add a little game in, first to fumbles out or the most ground balls gets the points or whatever. So there's always different ways to mix it up. And then obviously our receive part to the game, which is really important also. Just getting to the face or the cold front of the ball. So if it's a crumb, getting to where that ball is going to be, or if it's a handball receive, or getting to that play. If they're getting the ground ball and they're getting off you, get to the face of that ball, get to the cold face of the ball, so you can get that ball as easy as you can. Last thing you want is to be able to put yourself under pressure and try to get a ball that's really hard to receive. And just getting your hands out nice and early is a really big one that I love working on when you're receiving on the run. Getting your hands in front of your eyes and getting your hands out nice and early, I think it's a really important one. You can do that. Basic little things, just throwing a football at someone and they're holding their arms, and when you throw it, they lift their arms together. So hands in the pocket or near the pocket or outside your shorts near your pocket, bang, okay, up. So some little drills you can do there to sort of work on that and getting your hands and eyes going. So that's the clean hands aspect. You might, again, if you wanted to pause this or have some time to discuss anything else that may be coming up in your own team or environment or coaching, take a minute now to sort of digest all that and to have a bit of a chat. And just wrapping it up, this is a big one for me, and I thought I'd leave you this little quote, but coach the same fundamentals for all players, but just remember all players won't learn the same. So what I mean by that is everything we touched on tonight in those two main fundamentals of the game, coach very similar, coach the same as in terms of the philosophy, the theory behind it. but you must change the environment, or you must change the way you coach for different players. Now that gets really hard with volunteers, or if you're just doing it, 2 nights a week for 2 hours, or half an hour here, 45 minutes there as a coach. It's really hard to practice. And again, that's sort of where we come in as a company or a business, to be able to, give that option to players to be able to get that individual work. But you're time poor, but if you can somehow work out to divvy up or delegate roles to assistant coaches or other parents or whatever to take certain drills so you can focus in on these fundamentals, perfect. Okay, but just remember, kids, players in general, all players, I should say, learn differently. So finding what works for them, whether it's, I guess I said before, a little competitive game, whether it's just walking through something and showing them, whether it's showing them a piece of vision like I did before with kicking, okay, or clean hands. This is how you pick it up, go out and do it, okay, or let's just learn on the run. Some people learn a lot differently. So that's really, really important. That's the overarching message I want to sort of convey tonight is that you've got to be really onto who you're coaching and know your players and how they all learn. And again, before we wrap up, I just wanted to sort of just have a chat to you guys or present to what we're doing. Won't take up too much of your time. Shannon can relay some information here, but our Football IQ membership is a membership based platform where you sign up and you've got access to all our drills, online presentations like this, like Luke's, like many other coaches we've got on our system and in the AFL that present on certain parts of the game. It's incredible how many hours are on there. It's all on demand. You can watch it in your own time. As we know, people are very time poor these days. We've got drills. We've got our extra podcast interviews that we interview some of our star coaches or players from previous eras. And there's a lot to like there in terms of just being able to learn and take your own time in learning things about the game if you're passionate about your coaching, or even players have got online training programs there for players too that want to get better. We're going to give you guys a bit of a discount to that, so I can send through some more details to Shannon and get him to communicate a discount there to our membership to give you guys access. And the other one too is for your players. We've just started at Broadview and a great alliance that we've got to be able to base our breakfast club small group sessions there every day. So we've got morning sessions, which is the breakfast club. It's how it started, but now we've got afternoon sessions too. So we've got sessions every day with our coaches, all accredited, all got great experience as coaches and background. It's all under my philosophy and my training programs that I've created to grow this breakfast club and small group session. So we do one-on-one sessions, but for kids that sort of want to train with their mates or a bit of a cheaper alternative, can train weekly, daily with these sessions. And as we know, if you just leave it to your club sessions and it's 2 hours a week, you're not going to get better. So this is the idea is to do the extras and the fundamentals over time, 40-minute classes, and as I said, operating every day out of Broadview. So again, I might get Shannon to hand out some flyers or promote this through your players. And if you can recommend that any needs extra skill development, please recommend them to the Breakfast Club at Broadview. And again, happy to have any of you guys down that want to jump in and listen and learn from some of our coaches we've got conducting these sessions. We do theme classes from kicking, clean hands, handballing, marking, to also athletics development stuff through S&C coach we've got down there with speed, agility, and the like. So just a few of our key services that I wanted to sort of let you guys know about tonight, but I'm sure the club have communicated that also. So thank you. Again, thanks for your time tonight. If there's any questions, I'd love to be able to sort of answer if you want to send an email or something to our team or myself. Again, get our details from the club and hopefully can get down there again this year, which I was down, already been down twice, but the Breakfast Club hours obviously after school or before school, and that's sort of when I was there, and also too meeting a few of you would be amazing throughout the year if we can get down and actually do a physical session to be great. But I hope you enjoyed a fair bit tonight. And again, if you wanted to summarize all that, I reckon that's a great starting point to be able to work on our coaching the fundamentals from a kicking and clean hands perspective. Thanks.